from food. Don't you need food to survive? And
Water.
yeah, water, sex. We get married to have relations with our wives, right? But Allah says refrain from these things, and that's what fasting means. What? To abstain from something, to abstain, to push back. So what Allah is showing us is that during this month, this Ramadan, this heat, this fire, right? Ramadan is a symbol of fire. Now, whenever they tell us about the devil, whenever we hear about the devil, what's the symbol for the devil?
Fire.
Fire. Fire is also a symbol for the devil. But what Allah is showing us is His use of the fire. So Allah is showing us during this month is that, see, the devil, he uses fire to cause you to sin. But Allah is showing us during this month of Ramadan His use of the fire. He's showing us how to use fire to keep us away from the sin. Allahu Akbar. So Allah gives us this month of Ramadan, and we thank Allah for this blessed month of Ramadan. In our first understanding, in our first fiqh, we would say a Muslim word is bond. A Muslim word is his bond, and his bond is his life. And he would give his life before his life fails him, right? Before his word fails. Thank you, alhamdulillah.
I thought I heard the word is life, right? Muslim word is his bond.
Word is bond.
Yeah, Muslim word is bond.
Okay.
And his bond is his life. And he would give his life before his word failed him, right? That's right. And so we see that in our this is what we were taught in our first understanding in the Nation of Islam, right? In our first process as a Muslim to become a believing Muslim, the first process is what? The kalima, the shahada, our words, right? Because that's what shahada is. It's what? It's word. Kalima, the kalima, it's our word. So here we are being introduced to the word again. We're being introduced to the word. And in our first obligation as a Muslim, we say what? We say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah. No illah, no object of worship except Allah. And Muhammad is his messenger and servant. He's a messenger and a servant of Allah, right? So when we look at the shahada and it says Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Muhammad abduhu wa rasuluhu. When we look at abduhu, it means what? It means servant, worshiper, or devotee, right? And so as Muslims, we are made very clear who Muhammad was, what his role was. And he is also Muhammad ibn Abdullah, right? So here in his title in the Shahada is telling us, Muhammad is Abduhu wa Rasuluhu. He is Abduhu wa Rasuluhu. So what Allah is showing us is that Rasulullah was a servant of God. He was a servant. He was not God in the flesh, nor was he the son of God. He was Abdullah. So Abdullah means what? It means servant. Sometimes they want to translate it as slave. So he was Ibn Abdullah. So he was Abduhu, Muhammad Abduhu, Muhammad the servant of God, and he was also Muhammad ibn Abdullah. He was also the son of a servant. So he's not God in the flesh, nor is he the son of God. He is a servant of God, and he is the son of a servant. Allahu Akbar. So when we see Abduhu, he was Abduhu, wa Rasuluhu. So we see that Muhammad was a servant before he was Rasulullah, right? He was Abduhu wa Rasuluhu, but he was a servant first, right? How was he a servant first before he was Rasulullah? Allah tells us in the Quran that he lived a lifetime amongst you. This is before he was Rasulullah. He was known as as-sadiq, right? The truthful. He was known as the al-amin, the trustworthy. Whenever the people in the town had a problem, they say, hey, go to Muhammad. You have a question about so-and-so, go to Muhammad. We can trust him. He's going to tell you the truth on the matter, right? So he was known as the town trust, right? Allahu Akbar. So Allah reminds us that he lived a lifetime among you. Now this is before he was a prophet. So we see that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a servant before he even received revelation. Allahu Akbar. So he was a servant. He was a servant. And here, when we see, I heard Imam Muhammad, he said, sometimes, when you say that you're a servant of God, you say, oh, I'm a servant of God. Sometimes what has happened in the world, in the religious world, they say, oh, I'm a servant of God, and I serve God. But we see in our Shahada, it's showing us the balance. We say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. So we say Shahadatain. It's two witnesses. So what we're doing is we're giving two witnesses when we come into the religion of Al-Islam. We give two witnesses. We give a witness for God, number one, first, and then we give a witness for man. So we say that there is no God but Allah, he has no partners, he has no associates, and that Muhammad, who is the seal of all the prophets, was his servant and messenger. So there's a balance there. There's a balance there. We can't just say that, oh, I'm a servant of God, and that's it, and only serve God. Well, how do you serve God? How are you serving God? Just by praying to God all the time, just by, And this is what happened in the religious world. See, before Al-Islam, the religious world went astray because they only saw themselves as servants of God. And they got so selfish into their service to God that they neglected their responsibility to man, right? So this is what happened. So the world went astray because they saw themselves as servants of God. And so Allah gave us Muhammad the Prophet to show us how to be a proper servant of God. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. So there was a hadith that many of y'all know this hadith. They said, oh, Rasulullah, there's a man, the most excellent of men. You must meet him. This man, he prays all the time. He does all his prayers. He's an excellent man. You must meet him. Right? Now here are some of the people in the town telling Muhammad the Prophet, the human icon of excellence, about how excellent another man is, right? So they were caught up in the rituals of the habits of whatever this man was doing. So they were caught up in this man. So Muhammad, they said, oh, Muhammad, you must meet him. He never even asked who the man was. He didn't even acknowledge him. He said, well, who feeds him? Who takes care of him? They said, well, we do, Rasulullah, we do. He said, then you're better than him. You're better than him. Because they were so blinded by the fact that this man is praying all the time, and he's dickering, he's doing all these different things, and he speaks with a whisper. So how some people think they're so pious, they just whisper to you. I say, what? I said, so one brother, he did that to me. I said, Satan is a whisperer. I said, Satan's a whisperer. So he said, oh, brother, what you trying to say? I said, oh, yeah, you got loud on that.
You got a voice.
But he would always run around just give me, like he's so pious, so humble, But when I say, Satan has a habit of being a whisperer. Oh, man, what you trying to say? I said, oh, okay. You put some bass in it there. But Allah is showing us, through Muhammad the Prophet, how to be a proper servant. Right? See, you can't serve God and only serve. How can you serve God just by serving God only? Huh? What does Allah doesn't need anything from you? You can't serve God without first serving man. And so Allah shows us that Muhammad the Prophet, before he was Rasulullah, he was a servant to man first, right? And what would Muhammad do when he was living in Mecca? He was disturbed at the condition and the ignorance of his people. Yes. So he would go away to the mountains and try to find answers, right? This was before he knew Allah. He didn't know who Allah was. He hadn't received revelation. But he would go away to the mountains trying to find answers to how to solve the problems that he's dealing with his own people. It disturbed him. So Allah revealed himself to Muhammad the Prophet. And that's how we have the Quran today. Allahu Akbar. So we celebrate. This is what we're doing. We're celebrating the month of Ramadan and fasting. So we celebrate the Quran, and we also celebrate Allah giving us Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Allahu Akbar. When we look at the name Abdullah, and like I said, many will say, I had an argument, a discussion with a brother. He said, oh, brother, you know, Abdullah means slave. I'm a slave of Allah. I said, well, brother, Allah didn't have slaves. You know, Allah says in the Quran, La ikraha fi din, that there be no compulsion in religion. So if you follow the logic of the Quran, Allah didn't have slaves, right? Only men do. Allah didn't force us to do anything. So I was sharing with him that Abdullah, the correct term, it would be servant. But of course he wanted to be a slave. I said, hey brother, okay, that's you know. And I remember in Los Angeles there was a restaurant called the Crenshaw Cafe. And a lot of the entertainers, movie stars, entertainers, you know, would go through there and visit. And this was back in the 80s, you know. And so I was still in my teens. And I was a teenager, in my late teens or whatever. And so the Crenshaw Cafe, you know, we were told, don't go in there. You know, so some Muslims ran it. You know, they said, oh, them brothers, those are gangster Muslims. Don't go in there, brother. You don't know what's going to happen in there. But, you know, us being young, you know, everybody was in there. You see entertainers, you see some Muslims in there, you know, so it was fun to us. We would go in there, we'd go in there anyway. And so it was one brother, he said, my name is, first name Abdul, last name Allah. My name's first name, that's what he would tell people. My name is first name Abdul, last name Allah. This is what he would tell people. Now, you know, in the 80s, we were still just now really coming out of the Nation of Islam and really becoming comfortable in the new direction that the Imam was taking us on, right? That we were still we still had a little bit of residue there, but you know, we were still kind of finally finding our comfort zone in the direction that Imam was taking us in. And so I just graduated from Sister Claire Muhammad School, and my Arabic was still a little tight. So I was on a mission to kind of teach the religion to you know, to get rid of that old stuff, clean that stuff out. So I said, okay, I'm going to teach this brother, you know, he don't know. So I said, well, brother, you're not supposed to call yourself first name Abdul, last name Allah. I said, Abdul has to be preceded by, it has to precede Allah's name or an attribute of Allah. I said, who told? He said, I was given this name. This is my holy name. I was given this name. I said, who gave you this name? He said, I did. I said, you know. And you know, the Quran tells us in the Quran, it says, when the ignorant come amongst you, you know, you say, Qalu salam, and say peace, and just never go. So I didn't know any better, you know. I was still young, and I'm ready to, you know. I didn't know. So he's sitting there, he listens, is that right? Is that right? And after we finished the conversation, he says, Assalamu alaikum, brother. My name is first name Abdul, last name Allah. I said, oh man, waste of time. And in that same restaurant, there was a brother there. He, you know, we had characters who were in the nation. We had some characters. So this one brother, he was a homeless. He was always digging in the trash, and in the same place at the restaurant. He digging in the trash, and he said, Assalamu alaikum, brother. The black man is God, brother. The black man is God. So I asked him one day, I said, well, brother, I said, if the black man is God, I said, well, I didn't hit him like that. I said, well, how come he got to go to the white man to get a job? He said, you don't know? I said, no, tell me. I don't know. He said, you don't know? So I'm thinking he's about to drop something real heavy on me. I said, oh, he's about to give me the answer to this. I said, no, tell me why. I said, why does the white man, the black man, if he's God, have to go to the white man to get a job, to provide his needs, if he's God? I said, tell me, brother. He said, man, he been sick, man, he been sick. Oh, man. I said, well, brother, I said, well, you tell